we have development camp. Yesterday was kind of the, as Kelly joked, the like, I bet you they went around the room and everyone said a fun fact about themselves, and not a whole lot went on the ice. There were no battle drills or anything, but today was, it was a lot more of the, it was a lot more of what you come to expect from a normal day of training camp or whatever. Is that fair to say, Chuck?
Yes. Yeah. Today, so the way the development camp tends to go is you have day one is very light. It's more just a warm up day in terms of on ice stuff. Days 2 and 3 are the real heavy work days. I think that's where you can gain the most actual knowledge about the players' skills, because the workouts, the drills are more intense, and also they're just more competitive. They're actually against each other rather than just like skating in a line and weaving in and out of objects and whatnot. And then day 4 is the day when we deal with the scrimmage. So that will be Saturday. We will have a scrimmage at around, I believe, 6 p.m. At the Flyers Training Center on Saturday night. So check that out. But yeah, today was a definitely a day where you could actually learn something about the players, much better than yesterday, to be sure.
All right, so I guess that's what I want to get into to start today's show, is if we learned anything about some guys, and why not start with the headliner, the 2024 first-round pick, the guy maligned at first, and then as we kind of got over, all right, they passed on Booyam, who just seemed as if he was going to be a consensus higher pick, but he did drop to, basically 13. Then they passed on Hellenius, someone we just saw in all the mocks goes well before Jett Luchanko, but they end up with Luchanko. And as we see, we read more about him. It's like, all right, we knew about the speed. We knew that as soon as we read his name. That's something that we joked about a few weeks ago. But as we're reading more, like his testing at the combine, how he just seems, maybe he's an athletic freak in nature, and the upside might be tremendous with him, given his age and what he was able to do at the combine. What can you tell us you learned about Jett today down at the training facility, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that number one, and I've learned this by doing these development camps quite a few times, is a lot of times for the young guys, the guys, this is their first development camp, the first day especially, it's a little bit of a feeling out process. You can tell that they're not ready to just jump right into the deep end. They need to get some adjusting. And I think that was the case with Luchanko today. One thing I will say is that from the jump, like, you can tell he's a great skater. I mean, that is abundantly clear from the second you see him, which makes sense. Like, that's just a natural ability, and it's the most noticeable ability that anyone who plays a sport on ice is going to show. He flies out there. I mean, he's got fantastic acceleration, and when they were doing skating drills throughout the day, like the push that he is able to get off of his lateral strides, like when he's trying to, gain separation, when he's getting challenged, when somebody's trying to challenge him physically, if he's trying to get around someone, like, there is serious power behind those strides. More power than I saw of anyone on the ice today. And it's abundantly clear this is a really, really good skater. Now, the rest of his game, I would say that he was, and this is something I do think he's going to have to work on. I think this is absolutely an issue I saw when I watched tape on him pre-draft. Not as much as today. So I think today was a bit of jitters, but he does need to get better at protecting the puck. When there were 2-on-1 rush drills, when there were 2-on-2 drills, like, the puck was getting knocked off a stick a fair amount. He was not finishing a lot of those plays because he wasn't protecting the puck well enough. He wasn't, cradling the puck in a way or being deceptive enough so that the defenseman or the forward, whoever was covering him, didn't feel comfortable just trying to strip it from him. So that's something there. And there were a lot of reps, especially in the beginning, where he wasn't even getting to the net. He wasn't even getting a shot because the puck was getting knocked away from him. Where he really started to shine and where you started to say, okay, I see what they saw in this guy. They were doing these drills. They were 2-on-1s and also just kind of 1-on-1s in a way, where you you drive the net with the puck with power and then try to beat the goalie in close. Luchanko is really good at that. He really shows off his soft hands when he's around the net, trying to finish on chances. That's how he scored most of his goals in juniors. It was very, like, dangle heavy, in the crease area, just outside the crease. I don't think he has a terrible shot, but he's not a sniper, and he doesn't use the shot as much as he should. But if you get him the puck around the crease, he can make goalies look stupid. And he did that quite a few times. And when you saw that, you're like, okay, combine that with the speed, and there's something here. And then at the very end of the main session, because the way they do it is they had a skills session, and then they have a mix session. The mix session is where you get the competition, between forwards and defensemen, between forwards and other forwards. Then you have the skills, which is a little bit more individualized. But at the end of the mix session, that's when you really started to see because one of the things that scouts talk about, you saw it when you watched them, but like scouts love his competitiveness. They love the fact that, this is a guy who will play physical, who will back check hard, who will battle along the boards. And I think he started to finally build up enough confidence by the end that you were really starting to see that competitiveness. You started to see why, like, even if he doesn't make it as a top 6 center, and I'm sure that's what the Flyers think he can be, but even if he doesn't, he's going to be a hell of a bottom 6 fast center because he has that competitive drive and he has that willingness to engage that keeps his floor higher than like top 6 or bust, like a Massimo Rizzo, let's say.
That's great. It's nice to know that he has that mix of those skills. Just in terms of what you said to begin with shielding the puck, protecting the puck, do you think that's something that can just come with reps? Like as he learns how defenders are going to attack him, he can figure out, like, using either his speed or his awesome athleticism. Like, I remember reading about the grip strength, that it was absolutely incredible. And to me, that's like, all right, one hand on the stick, shielding, use other arm to ward off a defender. Like, do you think he has the tools to kind of figure out that part of his game? Because if he's going to carry the puck a lot, and with his speed, you hope he would, that's something you kind of want.
Yeah, I think it can be. There's a reason why scouts talk a lot about the idea of pace, that players have to play with pace. And that is speed. That's carrying the puck fast. That's keeping your legs moving so that backcheckers can't catch up to you. But what it also is it's making decisions quick. And that's something you always hear when people move up a level, when they go to college from juniors, when they go to the AHL from college, when they go to the NHL from the AHL. It's just that you have to make all of your decisions faster because everyone is a little bit faster. They attack you a little bit more aggressively. They're a little bit bigger, so their reaches, take away your time and space just a little bit more. And my hope is that even as camp progresses, he's going to turn the puck over less because he gets used to the fact that, these guys engage, they close gaps quicker than players do in juniors. And then he might have to make the same adjustment when he gets to the AHL, or the same adjustment when he gets to the NHL if he just skips the AHL entirely. Like, this could be something where he just has to adapt to the pace of the defense that he's facing and just learn how to make decisions with the puck quicker, whether that's a pass, whether that's moving the puck away from an oncoming stick check just a little bit quicker because you don't quite have the same time that you have in juniors. We'll see if he can do it. It's not a guarantee. Sometimes players can't learn how to deal with the increased pace because they don't have the hockey processing ability. They don't have the IQ. And that is something that some scouts were worried about Luchanko, that, he's got all these tools. He's this physical freak in terms of, how he did at the combine and everything. But does he have the hockey IQ to take full advantage? That's one of the questions. One of the reasons why he wasn't a slam dunk top 10 pick. But I do think it's possible for you to learn how to play and think with more pace as long as you do it a lot. You get a lot of reps. I do think so. So I'm going to go into what I would say is probably my biggest standout of the day. And that was one Oliver Bonk. And Bonk, he had a really interesting interview yesterday with the media. He really opened up. He's not usually the most loquacious person in the world to talk to, but he was really good yesterday when we spoke with him after the initial segment of development camp. And what he said was, I might not be the biggest, the fastest, the strongest. I might not be the best at anything, but I'm good at everything. And that was something that was abundantly clear today. It was that, this is someone who, he isn't the fastest skater, but he's a good skater. He doesn't have the best shot, but he can beat goalies. He isn't the most dynamic on the breakout, but he can pass the puck accurately and get the puck up ice quick. He was just good at everything. And the one thing that he was, I will say, legitimately great at, and this is interesting, he was really, really good defensively. And he hasn't, while he's generally viewed to be a two-way defenseman, in that that's what he projects to be, he wasn't perfect defensively in London last year. He hasn't been perfect defensively. He's still kind of, I think, learning the finer points of, closing gaps quick and how to use his stick exactly the way he should to be able to be a shutdown level guy at the NHL level, or at least a good defensive defenseman at the NHL level. Well, today he was basically perfect in terms of defense. When he was defending 2-on-1s, when he was defending 2-on-2s, he was just breaking up plays constantly. And it was really impressive to see, because at last year's camp and whatnot, it wasn't as apparent that he was going to potentially have the upside to be a really, really good defensive defenseman. Today, I have some really good videos, and keep an eye out. I will be doing my my end of camp wrap up monster article that I do every year. This will be my first one for PHLY, but I've done enough for The Athletic that if you followed me all that time, you'll know what to expect. A lot of observations, a lot of quotes, a lot of videos. But when I do that, I will have multiple videos of what Oliver Bonk did today, basically just kind of being like the Gandalf, you shall not pass type of player against him, because people were trying to get around him. They were trying to pass the puck through him, and Bonk was just right there. He was right there, and he was always making the right read. His gap was tight. His stick was active. He did everything you want to see a guy whose defensive play projects well to the NHL level. He did everything you're supposed to do on that front. I was really hoping Bill would be back by now. Does not look like he is. I guess I'll just keep going with more observations of players at development camp. Alex Bump. He looked real good, honestly. Alex Bump is a fifth-round pick. He's a college guy, but he shines at these. This isn't the first development camp I've seen him at, and he always stands out at these dev camps. He shined again today, and it's just because for a later round pick, for a guy who not a lot of people talk about, he's got serious skill. Like, this guy, he's not Luchanko level fast, but he's a good skater. You can see he's got powerful strides. He's got good technique. He has a separation gear, at least at these camps. I don't know if he quite has it in college or the pros, but here he's a pretty good skater. And then skill-wise, he can beat goalies clean. He can dangle. He's got moves. And I think Bump is one of those guys that maybe I don't even talk about enough. Like, we didn't rank him in our top 20, myself and Alex Appleyard. We did not rank him in our top 20 back in February, I believe is when we did our last PHLY top 20 prospects list. We probably should have. And I remember when we did the list, I'll say this. There was a person in the Flyers organization that reached out after the list was done and essentially said, surprise Bump isn't on there. We really like him. And you can see why. The skill is there. He's most likely going to be a winger at the next level, but he's the kind of guy where, maybe you lucked into a middle six caliber player. Not saying he's going to be a star. I think they really have, maybe 3 guys in this pipeline with legitimate blue chip potential. Obviously, Mitchkov, who still counts as a prospect. You have Oliver Bonk, who, if he hits a ceiling, maybe could be a first pair defenseman. And now you have Luchanko, who potentially could be a top 6 center. So I don't think that Alex Bump, even in an ideal world, is going to be a top liner. Like, let's take a chill pill on that front. However, and this is important, it's important to get good middle six wingers. And if those middle 6 wingers are being gotten in the 5th round, pretty darn good.
We all silly like the mayor.